Do you think everyone should be an entrepreneur?
No. So the word entrepreneurship comes from a Latin root, meaning to elevate economic resources from an area of low yield to an area of high yield. Effectively, you're creating value where there was none before. One of my favorite essays about this is called On Wealth by Emerson, and he describes how Thomas Savery invented the steam engine. And it used to be a pile of scrap metal on the floor of his garage, and he applied his thought to matter, rearranged it in a certain way, and created something that was greater than the sum of its parts. And then you multiply it times 1,000, times 1,000,000, times 100 million, and now you can pump water out of wells, you can create electricity, you can have trains, etc. Like, the difference between an entrepreneur and a businessman is really good at doing arbitrage. He buys peaches in the village, he brings them to the city, he sells the peaches, it costs $3 to make the peaches in the village, and they cost $6 in the village because they're higher quality. An entrepreneur makes a peach smoothie and sells you that. But it comes with a lot of risk. You guys are probably familiar with the term hedge funds, right? A hedge fund is like a mutual fund, but it deals with more risk. So hedging is a function of how to deal with risk. I have an extremely high risk tolerance. Like, I'm the type of person where if I want to learn something new, I throw myself in the end of the pool and I figure out how to swim. And I'm okay with taking the risk. And it's because I'm really, really good at high pressure situations. It's one of the benefits of having ADD. But a lot of people get really stressed by that. And that's not how they want their life to be. And they are not people who enjoy being in super high risk situations. And so if that's you, there's no reason to be an entrepreneur. I think today, entrepreneurship is like heroized to a degree that is completely unnecessary. You need everybody, right? You need people who just love solving hard problems and are software engineers. You need people who are going to fix the plumbing. You need people who are going to help us put the chairs here. You need people who are going to be doctors. I never had an interest in being a doctor because I love scale, I love growth. And I was like, I don't want to impact one person's life at a time. I do have a huge interest in biotechnology. And so I took a lot of medical classes because I want to figure out how to invent things that are used in medicine. And even when I traveled, I spent a bunch of time in South Africa when I was a student, I would go to hospitals and shadow surgeons to see how they use tools so I could build more tools for them. But I didn't need to be the entrepreneur, right? So if you're a founder, your number one role is to learn. You learn how to code, you learn how to design, you learn how to talk to users, you learn how to fundraise, you learn how to hire. As a CEO, you have 3 roles. Make sure there's enough money in the bank, set a very big vision, and hire. But what if that's not what you want to spend your time on? What if you want to spend your time doing art? What if you want to spend your time solving hard problems? What if being the person at the front, fighting off all the people that don't believe you is not what you want to do with your life? Well, being an entrepreneur is probably not the path. So I call this the babysitter system for management. It's very easy to do when you're in college, right? There's 6,000 undergrads at Brown, 2,000 grads. There's a bunch of people who are studying engineering, there are a bunch of people doing design, and a lot of people who build stuff before they even got here. You go, hey, Smile, I know you're good at building stuff. I'm building this cool thing, and I get you excited about the thing. Initially I built a attachable brake for longboards and skateboards because somebody crashed on my longboard. And so I designed a thing to make it better. So I went down to RISD and I talked to a bunch of people who did industrial design. And I went to Bears and Holly, this is the first day of school, and I sat in Hazeltine's place, and I was like, yo, every person who came in, hi, what's your name? I'm Cliff, nice to meet you. Hey, I'm trying to build this. I showed them a sketch. What should I do? And they give me advice. And I was like, amazing, sounds like you're really knowledgeable. Would you want to help me build it? And they're like, no, I have other things going on. I was like, oh, no worries. Well, can I get your number? I'd love to see some more advice. Most people are like, sure. Hey, can you give me the phone numbers of 2 people who you think would be interested in helping me with this? And they would. And so the 14th person did not, it wasn't the right one. But the 15th person gave me the phone number of a person who did a dual degree between Brown and RISD and helped me build the first CAD model for that board brake. So then once you find the people who are interested, be like, hey, great, let's get together at 5 p.m. on Tuesday at this place. And they're like, sure. They show up. You come with water bottles, whatever you need to supply. And you sit. It doesn't matter what you do in your computer, as long as they're working on their computer. You can be on Google Docs, you can be designing, you can be learning how to code. But if you sit with them, they'll work with you. The second you're gone, they'll stop working. So get a group together, 3 people, and work for 5 hours a day in the rowdy on the weekend. And that's how you start.
What's your secret to hiring? Everyone has one. So.
I have many. Well, the number one secret to hiring, to fundraising, is make friends. This is the most important one. That works when I'm doing the sourcing, but we have a huge sourcing system where we'll interview 600 people a month. My secret to hiring is hiring internationally. So, surprise, not all the smart people in the world live in the Bay Area. It's amazing. Kazakhstan, they live in Ukraine, they live in China, they live in Indonesia. It doesn't matter where they are in the world. There's smart people everywhere. And sometimes they don't have those credibility indicators. They didn't win the #1 math thing. They didn't have a job at Google before, but they're still freaking amazing. So, when Jan messaged me and finally I responded, I came up with a task for him to do. And he did it. And I was like, damn. And then he did another one, and another one, and another one. Justin came up to me after a talk I gave, 3 years ago? 2017, and he told me, it doesn't matter what, I'll sleep on the floor, I'll sweep the floor, just let me work with you guys. And I was like, okay, so, okay, what can you do? He couldn't do anything at the time, sorry. And I was like, okay, well, the fire is there, what can I have him do? And I was like, all right, I want you to go to Engine 9 and Engine 90 and any other class you can, figure out what all the readings are from those classes and put them in a repository so we can preload them on Speechify for those students, and then go in those classes and present about it. And you know what? I gave them that task to like 15 other people before who told me they wanted to work with us, and none of them did it because it's actually very hard to do, and Justin went and did it. And I was like, there you go, man. So then we hired him, and he came to intern at Speechify, and he did a lot of our early design. And so if I'm hiring the person, I give them a small task to do, and if they crush it, I give them another one, and then it gets to the point where I can't afford not to hire them. And then I'll move heaven and earth to make sure that I can hire them. That's when it's like, you know, interpersonal. And you know, that story with Simon is the same thing. Like, he was messaging me from Bulgaria. At this point, we've gotten people, like multiple O1 visas, TN visas, J1 visas, green cards. We've become experts in immigration. And it's because you find these awesome people no matter where they are. And usually we work remotely, but sometimes we bring people in person with us. And it's because I give people the opportunity to shine. And so, you know, the definition is these diamonds in the rough, like people who, you know, you just give them the opportunity. And if you give them the opportunity, they'll crush it. But you can give the opportunity to 100 people, and if 2 of them shine, that's fine. Because you didn't lose anything by giving the opportunity to the other 98.
How do you like narrow down that like broadness into specific?
It's very hard. And the answer is, like we said, like not timing the market, time in the market. Like, you need to be the surfer who's like sitting there and you're constantly swimming. And eventually a wave will come up and take you with it. But do it in the space that you care about, and always have an open mind to changing your mind and trying new things. And you know, connect with people just like this. And write and read and just build tests, constantly build tests. And you know, this guy's building a test. He's probably gonna fail, but like the 20th will not fail. You know, you find in stuff like YouTube, you make 300 videos, you don't know which one will succeed. In SEO, same thing. But one will succeed, you never know which one. Same thing with ads. You just gotta put in the reps. And if you put in enough reps, one of them will, you know, go up for you. So just put in the reps and eventually something will catch, but you will never know what it is before you do it.
Thank you.
That's it, you got it.